Well, this was going to be a long post about how depressing life is and how awful everything is, but I think I'm not going to do that. And yes, I know I'm talking in a British accent. I don't know when it's going to go away. It came on rather suddenly, but we're rolling with it. So, originally, yeah, it was going to be a post about how hard and depressing and how awful life has been and things like that. And I'm not going to do that anymore because thankfully I've been blessed with having a friend who was going through some rough things and who's shown me what that effectively is like and how difficult it is to deal with that. And I don't want to do that to you guys. You know, he basically showed me that life was awful and it was a big mess, and he complained about it all the time, and he made this big deal about how everyone was terrible, the world was terrible, life was awful, everyone hated him, he hated everyone, and yeah, the world should just burn. And basically what I took away from that was it was very stressful to listen to. It was very draining. And so I asked him, I said, hey, friend, I don't mean to be rude, but I can't handle this anymore. I can't just sit here and listen to you bitch about life and moan about it and not do anything to fix it. If you want to fix it, let's fix it, okay? Let's work on something together. I'd like to help you with that. I know you're going through a lot, so let's try and improve. And he completely blew up on me. And effectively, he called me a lot of names that have 4 letters in them. Told me he wished me nothing but the worst and nothing but pain and misery in my life. You know, positive things like that. Great things. And said he was going to block me on all platforms that we were shared on, you know, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And I wrote back, I said, well, I am sorry you feel that way. I wish you nothing but the best. And as far as the misery and pain, it's already happened, bruv. I hate to break it to you, but it actually happened about 3 years ago. Had a life-altering injury that absolutely wrecked me that I'm still dealing with. So, thanks. Cheers. A little late on the negatives, but, you know, A for effort. And proceeded to try and go and, you know, just block him back. And he'd already done it, so saved me the trouble. And I realized I don't want to be that person. I get that you're not supposed to be happy all the time. And I'm not advocating for being toxically happy all the time. God knows that life is not something that you can be happy with all the time, or that you should be happy with all the time. You know, you should express your negative emotions. You should get them off your chest. You should heal from them, I think is the point that I'm trying to get across. You know, if you're having a bad day, a bad week, a bad year, bad life, accept that as what you're currently going through. Okay, I'm having a bad week, day, life, year. That sucks. What can I do to fix that? And then start taking actionable steps towards that. So for me, I'm personally going through some stuff right now that's not the best. I won't go into any of the deets, but it's kind of tough sometimes getting through it. You know, I feel like a bad son, a bad person, a bad coworker, a bad gym buddy, a bad brother, a bad just person in general. I feel bad about everything. I feel like I'm not enough. And I'm getting better about it. You know, I'm like, okay, I feel this way. It doesn't mean that's my reality. You know, there was a great saying that went up, and I forget who said it, but he basically said, hey, if someone told you, as in me, that you have really ugly blue hair and it's the worst thing I've ever seen, is that going to bug you? And I'm like, no. He's like, exactly. He's like, you don't have blue hair. I'm like, I don't have hair at all. And the point is, it's like if someone calls you a worthless, terrible employee, and you're like, okay, cool, great, it doesn't really bug me, I know I'm not. Or they do call you that, and you're like, okay, cool, yes I am, I'm working on it, I'm not going to be. You know, it's things like that if you're having something bad happen, there are steps you can do to fix it and get better, and that's what I'd recommend you do. You know, the unfortunate side of this is that there's a certain kind of sadness that is easy to ruminate and dwell in. You know, especially whenever you're someone that is an introvert or someone that doesn't get a lot of attention, and someone all of a sudden pays attention to you because you're having this terrible thing happen to you, and you're like, oh, they notice me. when I have bad things happen. Therefore, I'm going to make it seem like everything's always bad. I'm going to complain all the time. And that's not a good idea, because after a while, it doesn't work. And B, you start losing friends. Worst of all, you start losing self-respect. So, feel your emotions and try not to bleed on people emotionally, Work on improving yourself, work on improving it. That's what I'm trying to do. And it's hard. It really is. It's very hard, and it's hard for me to admit this as a grown man, but I am trying to improve on these things. I've been to 3 different therapists so far. None of them have worked. I'm still looking for a 4th one at this point in time, and I'm actively going after that. And yeah, it's embarrassing to admit. I don't tell my mum and my pa that, oh, by the way, your son's in therapy. Great. You did a bang-up job raising him so that he's so mentally that he has to go talk about his problems with a professional mind person. Great. I don't really want to tell them that. Maybe I should, but I don't want to. So I'm not at this point in time. And it's stuff like that. You have a problem and you try and improve it. And if you can't improve it, after you've recognized the problem, and if you can't follow through on your actionable steps, like say I want to be better in a month, and you're not. Well, write down your problem, write down actionable steps and a time frame to do it. And if you still don't follow through, then do something to be held accountable. Take a loan, give it to somebody. Take a cashier's check, give it to someone you trust. Take your favorite thing, your bag of weed, your side chick, your new car, give it to someone. Be like, here, don't give this back to me until I do XYZ, or unless I do XYZ, and then give it back to me. And write out a document, get it notarized. I had to do that to get my business started, because I was just dragging my feet. And to be honest with you, I'm probably going to have to do it again, because I'm starting to drag my feet now. I don't have that looming thing hanging over my head like you have a deadline. If you don't do it, you're going to lose half your life savings. So it's very motivational and helpful to have that sort of accountability held there. Maybe it's like, instead of your savings, it's like maybe your big brother's going to sucker punch you 5 times a day if you don't work on your business for 30 minutes with the before and after picture and some noticeable change. Things like that. So basically, the moral of the story is, if you're going through something, recognize that, set about some actionable steps for it, a time frame. If it doesn't go in, be held accountable in some way, and then improve. There's nothing wrong with being sad or angry or happy or guilty or jealous or any of the other feelings out there. They're all valid feelings, but some of them are very hard for people to deal with if they're not looking to deal with them. And that's where the term emotional bleeding comes from. So I would recommend that you try and improve on them, so that whenever that stuff happens, not only can you handle it, but it doesn't bother you. It doesn't shake you. You become this centered individual. You become a person that is not shaken by doubt. And it's a great thing to be. So that's what I'm trying to be, and I'd recommend you try and be. So that's the thought I'll leave you on today, guys. So, ciao for now.